HorrorDeconstruction.
What's up, everybody? It's the HorrorDeconstruction. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, but most likely on YouTube. Give us a like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Hit that subscribe button. Let everybody know about the show with your host Komp for this solo deconstruction on 31 Days of Horror that we're doing for the month of October. Today's film is The Clovehitch Killer, 2018. A picture-perfect family is shattered when the work of a serial killer hits too close to home. Directed by Duncan Skiles, written by Christopher Ford. Starring Dylan McDermott, Charlie Plummer, and Samantha Mathis. Hey. What about Madison Beatty as Cassie, IMDb? How dare you? Anyway, so this film I watched on Netflix because this was a film that a lot of people spoke about. A lot of people said it was good things, but it never sort of got gigantic. And having watched it, I was like really impressed at how it was. It's weird because the movie itself, it's so bereft of like eccentricity or like style, and I feel bad saying that, but it's like it looks like if it was a Netflix film made for a Lifetime channel, and don't get turned off by that, but it feels like it's a very clean, straightforward story about a serial killer and the family aspect of it. That the way that it's shot, it seems like anything else, like if this was in the hands of a really horrible director, you'd hear like fake Nine Inch Nails music coming on and weird stupid special effects to make scenes go into another one. This is just like a straightforward story, and there's something that was very rare, but it was interesting, and I understood why people enjoy it. Like I said, it's like a Fincher Lifetime film. I've never really seen Lifetime movies, but I assume it's just they don't go crazy over special effects in them. They're all just, you know, just stories about people in their lives or whatever, and some woman falling in love with whoever. But this is that type of film that it's lensed like a normal film, but there's a very sinister aspect to it. And when the sinister aspect comes up, you know, you're just like, holy shit. Like, it's even more disturbing in this type of film because it's so cleanly directed that you don't expect, when the dark stuff actually happens, the level of darkness that they go to. So obviously, and I don't know how much of it's a spoiler, because obviously Dylan McDermott is the fucking Clovehitch killer. They do a good deal of sort of red herring a little bit stuff in here, but it's not focused on him killing people. It's not like a movie that follows him going around killing women and stuff like that. But we're really following his son, really well played by Charlie Plummer as he's playing Tyler Burnside in it. Dylan McDermott is playing Don Burnside. Don Burnside is this guy who's like, he's a carpenter, who works in carpentry as far as I can see, and fixing and stuff like that. And he, you know, is one of the big guys in the church. You know, this is a very... And it was interesting to see this film because seeing these families and they're praying before breakfast and stuff like that. And I had grown up really religious, but I'm not anymore. And to see that, it was sort of like alien again. But it was interesting to see that sort of lifestyle. And, you know, Don Burnside, the father, is also like the head scoutmaster and stuff like that. And so all these people have trust in him. So it's sort of, obviously this is it's clearly a version of Dennis Rader, who was the BTK, the serial killer, the bind torture killer asshole that would take photos of himself. He's a real piece of shit, a real piece of shit, and thankfully his stupidity got his dumbass. If you want to know the story of the BTK killer, he was this guy who would take photos of himself wearing masks and women's lingerie and shit like that, and like hanging himself, not like to kill himself, but just hanging himself in BDSM stuff. And then he would go out because he like worked on installation of home security, so he would know people's houses, and he would go and he would murder women. There was a thing where he basically murdered half of a family, and his dumb fuck ass got caught by one day he was like trying to goof on the cops, like to mock them, like he was fucking Jack the Ripper or something, and he sent them a floppy disk And he was like, "You can't trace me on these, can you?" And the cops were like, "No, we can't." So then they traced him to it, and he got pissed off, and they caught his dumb ass, which is great. I'm glad they should have launched him into the fucking moon. But he had a regular family, and he was doing this weird shit on the side, and they do that stuff in this movie. And it's funny because it's so jarring, because there's a scene where Dylan McDermott's character is like, he finds a way to send his family home because he's got an itch, and in this world, it's not obviously based. It is based on Dennis Rader, but it's like it's a different character, and he's been killing a bunch of women, and this town is like, well, you know, we got to find this guy, and it's weird because it's like a small town. I don't know the amount of people that Dennis Rader killed. I know obviously it was like more than a handful of people. And I didn't know how stretched out it was. I assume maybe it is because it had to deal with his job. So it's the same thing here where they hold vigils for these people, and Tyler he gets nervous one day because he's going to kiss this girl in his car, like he was somebody going steady with, and she finds like BDSM pornography in the car. She thinks he's a freak, so then it also goes into, you know, small town paranoia, because then she tells one person, and everybody thinks he's a freak because of the porn in his car and shit like that. And that it makes him be like, what the fuck is this? Because his dad is like a super religious guy, you know, or he looks like a super religious guy, and so then it makes him start thinking about things. And you know, he finds shit in his dad's tool shed. It's really creepy and unnerving how it unfolds. And he ends up being friends with this girl named Cassie, who is like the town, like everybody's so cliquish with their religion in this that they look at this girl like she like fucks the entire football team and stuff like that. So she adds this sort of acerbic, you know, dark humor to the film, that she's sort of like an asshole character, which is good compared to everybody else in this movie. And anyway, so I think it's just really well done. And you know, I'm not too sure about the conflict resolution at the very end, because it sort of doesn't make any sense. It does get very tense at the end with the conflict, and I like how there's showing time and where characters were, and you know how this time works. So it's like halfway through the movie something happens, you're like, holy shit, wouldn't this be the end of the movie? But it finds its way to, you know, make it interesting. So I don't want to like spoil the ending, but I mean, obviously, you know, the guy is the fucking, as sinister as they play Dylan McDermott's character and the thing. And it's funny, like Dylan McDermott, I know he's a good actor, but usually I think of him as just sort of a television actor, and we shouldn't treat television actors obviously like, oh, you know, he's just a TV actor, he's not a film actor. But he's really good in this. Obviously, like an American Horror Story in the first season, which is still probably the best season, well, compared to the Asylum one. The first one is still like actually spooky and shit like that. But he's very good in that, and then in this, he's really good. He's playing this really like a believable character, and like there's a part where he's walking around the house in a certain clothing, and I was just like, holy shit. So I mean, it really was better than I thought it was going to be, and that's a good thing about this film. So I would totally suggest watching Clovehitch Killer. There's even a guy named Billy, played by Lance Chantiels-Wertz, and he's just a bitch of a character, but like he's played well. There's a part where Madison Beatty's character Cassie confronts him, but it's like one of the funniest lines. He's like, "Oh shit!" But everything is really good. It's a really good film, and you even see Samantha Mathis in here. It was like a gigantic crush of mine. She said, and seeing her in this film, and then Charlie Plummer really was really good in this film. Like, I don't know how that guy is in real life, but I believe he is like this in real life. That's how good his acting is. Like, he's just sort of meek young guy who's frustrated because he doesn't know what the fuck's going on, and it's just a really good film that I hope more people watch. It's a really good film. I saw it on Netflix. I don't know where it will be by the time you hear this episode, but it's definitely a very good film that's worth watching. So I would give this movie a 7 out of 10. I would have given it a 6.5, but a 7 is pretty good for this. A 7 out of 10. Just sleeping in your house, waking up, and a masked man comes in saying that he needs your car, and then craziness happens. And with that, this has been the Horror Deconstruction.
The Horror Deconstruction.